Hi there, my name is Peter Janis, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about the Twin ISO. Yep, this is a Radial Twin ISO. This is a line level isolation box. Let me kind of show you what goes on with this deal. I'm going to show you the insides. Okay, so you've got a couple XLRs as far as inputs, and a couple of XLRs on the output. Inside you have big honking transformers. Yep, here you go, look at that. Wow, you can see that in the camera, all right. How these things work is real simple. You send a signal in, it comes out, it doesn't change. Why these transformers? Let me explain what happens. In our world, we hate noise. And what I mean by noise, we hate distortion. We hate any kind of screwing around with our signal. What we want to do is we want that signal to transfer as cleanly, as efficiently as possible. Well, to do that, we have a transformer. The transformers are basically made up of a couple parts. What you have is inside a transformer, you have a primary coil and a secondary coil. The signal coming from the input goes inside this transformer, gets changed into what they call a magnetic field, and comes out the other side, okay? So it's called a magnetic bridge. So that magnetic bridge is the magic. Now here's the deal. Not all transformers are created equally. You have cheap transformers, you have really good transformers. In the Twin ISO, we're using a top of the line Jensen transformer. This is one of the biggest, baddest transformers out there. And to give you a sense of how important that is, let's take a look at line level. We're at different signal levels. Way down at the bottom in the decibel range is noise. That's that background hiss or noise that you might hear on this video because, well, we're just doing what we're doing. Then you have, as the signal increases, you have mic level or DI box levels, which are the next level up. Then beyond that, you get into keyboards, which are even louder. And keep on going up. You have consumer level, which is like CD players, essentially any of that quarter-inch stuff, you know, high impedance output, or it's not really high impedance, but let's just say the quarter-inch output from your recorder, this kind of thing. Then you get into the nominal level, which is the average level. The plus 4 dB, that's your pro level, that's your real McCoy, and that is, of course, where this starts. This is for your pro level stuff. So it's designed to isolate one console to another. So let's say you're mixing or using two consoles for a festival. So one console is for the backup band, one console for the main band. You want to run one console into the other. What you would do is you would put your little Twin ISO right here. That's where your Twin ISO would go. Right at the input before it goes into the next console. It's stereo, so you have your left and right going into two line level inputs. Now the cool thing about the Twin ISO, because of these Jensen transformers, these are big transformers in here. They're actually able to handle plus 24 dB. Way up there. Tons and tons and tons of level. Because of that level, it's amazing. You can get all that signal without distortion. And that's the key. We hate noise, we hate distortion. So we're not talking like a DI box. This is what you would have like a regular, like a Radial Pro DI or a JDI or a J48. That's down in the minus 50 dB range. That's really low level. We're talking really loud. We're talking plus 20, sorry, I said plus 24. It should be plus 28 dB of signal handling, which means you can just rip at this thing. You can take that big, badass $250,000 console and drive it all the way as loud as it goes. This will not distort. Now, there's another huge benefit to using the Twin ISO. In a lot of systems, in sound system installations, whether it's a DJ, whether it's professional audio, whether it's remote towers, anything like that, what you've got is you've got different powering systems. So you might, for example, have a mixing console going to a crossover, which is running over to a bunch of amplifiers. Depending where that crossover is in an active system, it could be at the front of the house or it could be at the stage. You can put a Twin ISO right here. That's where the Twin ISO goes, right at the input of that crossover, or even at the input of a power amplifier. And that way you get rid of buzz and hum problems caused by ground loops. What's a ground loop? Yeah, it's a story, right? One thing leads to the next. Well, here's a ground loop. If you take this first console, this has got a ground. This console also has a ground. There's your electrical system. On top of the electrical system, you have an audio signal pass. So this is audio, and here you have the electrical, right? Those are two different worlds. Well, when these two consoles are connected together, you actually have something here that occurs because the ground signal actually passes all the way through and causes a ground loop. That's known as a ground loop. That's the thing that causes all the buzz and hum. And what's really happening there is you have different reference voltages to ground, you have DC traveling all over the place, all these kinds of problems. So what you do is you lift the ground by hitting that little switch, it's called a ground lift switch, and then, and we have one of course on here, you'll see that it has a little ground lift switch on it, okay? And at the same time what you're doing is because the transformer is a magnetic bridge, as we talked about earlier, there's no actual connection from the input to the output. So as that signal comes in, there's no physical connection, there's no electrical connection. So what you do is you eliminate any DC coupling that occurs from one circuit to the other. DC cannot pass through a transformer. So that solves the buzz and hum problems. So you get rid of the ground loop, you get rid of the noise, you get rid of the DC traveling all over the place, you can handle huge amount of signals. That's what makes the Twin ISO so cool. It's a great product. It really works well. It's been used by everyone from the Rolling Stones all the way to, you know, Band-Aid and all those big festivals. They use these things all over the place. There's a reason for it. It solves problems.